What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Ball Talk with Boyd. I'm your host, Spencer Boyd, and it has been too long since I've given you all an episode. But today we have a great episode, and this one means a lot to me as a swimmer, as a black swimmer. I have one of the best swimmers that Ohio has ever seen at the high school level, at the college level. She's done it all. She's an Olympic trial qualifier, a Big Ten champion, All-American. I got Nyah Funderburke on the show today. Welcome to the show, Nyah.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, ma'am. How are you doing? How's summer been?
I'm good. Good. It's flying by way too fast, but I'm enjoying it as I can.
There we go. There we go. So you're currently serving as the director, head of social marketing and social media for the Buckeye Swim Club. So let's just start there. So what has that been like? I mean, you've been there for about a year now. How's that been going?
Yeah, it's been really great. After graduating college, I still was unsure of exactly what I wanted to do. And I really didn't even have a job until August. Everything kind of just fell into place, and I'm just so grateful to be in the spot where I'm at right now. So doing the marketing of Buckeye Swim Club, and we have a swim school as well. So teaching kids how to swim. It's been great being in a different aspect of the swimming world now that I'm not competing.
Yeah, I always wonder. It's always a big thing for me when I see these athletes like myself, like you, that have been a part of a sporting community for so long, and they have that moment when all of a sudden their road ends, and it doesn't have to end, but it feels like your road is ending. And then sometimes, especially with a sport like swimming, you can almost feel burnout, and I've seen that a lot with a lot of my friends and teammates that have been great swimmers, and they finish and they're just tapped out. But I thought that was going to end up being like me, but I ended up getting right back into it as well as you did. So what do you think was something that resonated within you that made you want to get back into swimming from a different perspective right away?
Yeah, that's great. And it's really tough. I talked to a lot of swimmers and have had swimmers at Ohio State even had to step down from swimming because they feel that burnout. And it's very tough with that mental and physical exhaustion that the sport of swimming has. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think it's one of, if not the most underrated sports
Absolutely.
that is to offer. So, really for me, one of the big transitions and segues that has helped me get into where I'm at now, with my job and occupation, is really just everything that swimming has taught me, and that's to excel past your point of comfortability, and also to be a part of a culture and be a part of a team that means so much more than yourself. And that's something that I've taken on at Ohio State and really learned to be true. And now that I'm able to implement that in a different aspect, still in Ohio, still kind of a Buckeye, that's been really, really cool to do.
Nice. You know, that's funny that you say that, because I think I've had this in this same conversation in probably two of my episodes so far, where I've had this emphasis on working in sports and being in the sports community. It's a fulfilling feeling because you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself. And when you're consistently thinking about how you're going to contribute to something that's bigger than yourself, it just makes you feel like you're a part of something that's so amazing that you're contributing for. So that's really cool. That's really cool. So in general, swimming, how did you end up in the swimming world?
Yeah. So I played a lot of sports growing up. I was always a natural athlete. Swimming was a sport that I kind of just was like, hey, I'm gonna throw on my little summer bathing suit. I'm gonna throw on my scuba goggles and we'll try out. So
There
um,
we go.
I tried out for the sport of swimming. First time I ever was in a pool swimming truly to try out was in my high school pool. So it was really cool to, go there full circle eventually in high school. But honestly, one of my big inspirations, and I've shared this many times before, is swimming is really a sport that you see a lot of attention in the Olympics usually, and that's about it. So one time I was watching the Summer Games 2016, Simone Manuel got her gold.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that was a huge inspiration, and saying, hey, swimming is a sport, you predominantly see not a lot of people of color like us, and wanted to add to that barrier and break that barrier as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really awesome. You know, I can remember that so vividly when Simone won that race. And it's so true, because swimming gets so much attention every time in the Olympics because people are like, wait a minute, this is awesome. These
Right.
races are coming down to this, a fingertip, and all these relays, and everyone always loves it. But then as soon as it's over, it dies down. So based off of that, is something that you want to do right now in your current role as not a swimmer anymore, but working in the sport of swimming, is something that you want to do is make people pay attention to swimming more often? And if so, how have you been doing that over the last year?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I think the awareness within the sport is something that I'm currently, trying to figure out ways to do. So one of my future goals would be to end up making curriculum for swimmers, but also those who maybe want to get into the sport of swimming. I feel like one of the biggest things is that people are like, hey, I maybe want to try out swimming, but I don't really know what avenue to go down to eventually get into that sport, especially as a person of color, where you don't have a lot of avenues and aspects.
Yeah, like not a lot of
And
local pools nearby and all those different issues that cost too much money. Yeah, I get it.
But that's currently what I'm doing. I would like to eventually maybe write a book as well. I'm not too big of a reader, so I need to kind of get into that just to, share my story, but also be able to inspire others to honestly just do what their heart desires.
Yeah, I think that inspiration is such it's not talked about enough. And I think that when you really, this is something now we're just having a whole conversation about life in general, I feel like, because I'm about to talk about Soul Bros, which is the nonprofit organization that I started when I was in high school. And we started that, and the whole premise of it was we were trying to inspire other children that weren't as fortunate through a pair of shoes. So we thought that if we could give them and these less fortunate areas a brand new pair of shoes, that inspires them to know that somebody's looking after them, and that somebody believes in them. And I feel like that's something that I've always carried with, and I've carried that into sports, into the realm of the sports world that I work in now. And I think that when inspiration is a part of it, that you can do some really awesome things. So yeah, the book, I'm here for it. If you need a supporter, you got one right here.
I will. Yep. I'll have you review it before
There
I
we go.
release it, right? So
There we go. That's awesome. Okay, so continuing in this whole swimming thing. So let's talk a little bit about your experience getting recruited first off. So as a top end recruit, a really great talent coming out of high school, can you tell the audience and myself just a little bit about what your experience was like and why you ended up choosing Ohio State as your ultimate home for the next 4 years?
definitely, yeah. I will say, I will start off, and I'm sorry, mom and dad, if you see this. I initially wanted to get as far away from my parents as possible. Um, and I ended up committing to a school that's only 20 minutes away from home. Um, so I was recruited really during COVID. My best year in high school swimming was my junior year. Right after that, COVID hit, and I never got to see any official visit of a campus of what the team was like in person. I really just had to go by the internet and on phone calls with coaches. So it was really tough. That was a tough time, and it's crazy to think that that was 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but really, I was looking at four really big schools, and that was Ohio State, the team up north. We don't talk. Indiana, and Florida. So initially, again, I wanted to go really far away from my parents and my family. Just being a teenager, right? Being a defiant teenager. I swam for Ohio State Swim Club. It's not a club anymore, but they were there prior to COVID, so they practiced at Ohio State. So I knew what Ohio State was like. Both of my parents are alums at Ohio State. I'm a second generation student athlete. My dad played basketball in the '90s there, and then played on the NBA. So I would say legacy had a huge piece to that. Also, just accessibility, knowing the facility, knowing the coaches, and then again, knowing coach, especially shout out Coach Bill Dorncott. He really saw light in me and the potential in me that a lot of other coaches and even myself didn't really see until I blossomed at Ohio State.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I guess that does make sense. It was always destined to happen. It was one of those things that no matter how hard you could you could try to avoid it, it was destiny. That's a really cool thing. So then tell me what that was like. So then you get to Ohio State and you're competing in the Big Ten, the arguably the best conference in all of NCAA. What was that like your freshman year, especially like you said, not getting to go and visit these places, not really getting to meet necessarily a ton of the team before you showed up. You just kind of showed up and then got the ball rolling. How was that like? What was that like?
Absolutely, yeah. I will say the transition from high school to college, it's not for the weak, no matter if you're student athlete, it's tough. And even just being so close from home, it still felt like I was really far. And I won't lie, my first semester, my freshman year, I struggled really bad, and I even wanted to potentially quit swimming. But again, the coaches saw something in me where they invested in me and invested in my character, invested in my time and my growth as a person that transitioned into my athleticism as well. My freshman year, actually, there's two types of teams on the Big Ten kind of roster. There's the scoring team, which is going to score points. Eventually, that'll tally up to the total. And then there's non-scoring team who not quite there to be on scoring team yet, but they're there to get kind of race experience in. So I was on the non-scoring team my freshman year, and my best events. I'm a sprinter. I don't do anything past 100.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you too. Yeah.
Oh, same boat.
Right there you go. So I swam my best event, which was the 100-yard backstroke. And again, I was on the non-scoring team, so I couldn't score any points there. And if I had been on the scoring team, then I would have placed first overall. So that was like, right? So that was a huge, and people were like, where is she coming from, right?
Yeah,
So
what in the world? Hold on a second. Just for like I'm gonna take a moment to just say how insane that is for my non-swimmer listeners. That's like I don't even know how to describe that. That's like the 5'6" dude who's never played basketball on the starting lineup all of a sudden starting and dropping 25 on the best team in the conference. That's wild.
so that was definitely a shocker to myself, but also, everybody else watching. And then eventually, flash forward to my sophomore year, I reclaimed that title back, truly being on the scoring team, and won my first individual and actually only individual Big Ten title in the 100-yard backstroke. So lots of ups and downs in sports
Yeah.
and athletics, especially swimming. And you just kind of have to take each season as it goes, and try to think how you can elevate yourself to get better. And that's been another transitional piece, is just keep elevating and keep it moving in the workforce now.
So you've talked a little bit about some of the people and some of your coaches that have inspired you and helped you out throughout the way. Do you have any? Have there been some teammates? Have there been some other coaches, just regular old mentors that you would say really helped you get through this process? Because I think that one thing that I have been extremely insistent upon whenever there's a freshman in college or a sophomore in college that asks me about working in sports or being an athlete themselves, I always say, hey, you got yourself a mentor. All right, that's the first step. So, do you have some teammates or such that you would say falls under that boat besides the one you've mentioned?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of the upperclassmen I would look up to and kind of see and follow as an example to eventually know that I'm going to step into that space one day. But something that Ohio State has just been amazing at and still continues to be amazing at time and time again is just that culture and that togetherness, that no matter if so and so's having a great day, so and so's having a bad day, like we're all in this together. We are truly sisterhood, and that's something that I've gained is a true sisterhood within the sport. And to this day, we'll still talk and chat about memories and experiences and updates, and just really being able to push each other past a barrier of teammates, right? We're family. I'm seeing you guys more than I'm seeing my family, so we better be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Real stuff right there. That's so real. You were saying some of the experiences you guys have shared, you still talk about that. So, can you tell me about one of your favorite experiences as a team? And then I want to know your favorite experience that swimming has gotten you in general, whether that's, traveling to a certain place, a certain race, and the feeling you had after that race. Tell me something that really stuck out to you as a team and individual.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say the biggest team accomplishment in memory that I have, and I have one of my rings here. This
Bling
is
bling bling
yeah,
bling
right.
bling
This is
bling.
one of nine rings. This is our Big Ten 2025 Big Ten championship ring, and that
Okay.
was my senior year. And it was at Ohio State, and the previous year we had lost to IU, so we were coming back hungry, and we were at our home pool. So we had to make it happen, and just having that memory and that closure of, I'm about to be done with my swimming career. I'm in my home pool and I'm just out here doing what I need to do with my girls, and being able to secure that victory as a team with my coaches. That was just really a full circle moment. Not only reclaiming what we had lost, but also just kind of that final victory, that final hurrah. So that was really awesome. Every time you win, you get to jump in the pool. So it was really nice to know that Indiana or Michigan was not jumping in our pool after the meet. Um, so that was probably the biggest team memory that I have. As for, I would say more like individually, and I will say it was definitely through like a team and a relay, which was in 2020, I think four, I believe. And this was when we were at NCAA's. So NCAA's is basically the national meet. You qualify for NCAA's typically after Big Tens. And it was on a relay, a 200 medley relay. And that's probably my favorite event other than the 100 back. Ohio State was actually seeded first going into the meet. And we're in like lane four, the best lane of the pool. And we're getting ready to go. And I'm swimming the backstroke leg. I love 50 backstroke. Anything backstroke, I'm going to do it, except two back. Um,
Yeah, that's a leg killer right
right.
there.
Yep. I'm not doing that. So I'm getting ready to get in, right, and I'm looking left and right as to who I'm competing against. And I look to my right, and it's Gretchen Walsh standing right there
Woo!
swimming the backstroke leg.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was really cool to be able to race her and be able to race like these elite level swimmers, but also know that I've earned exactly where I'm at right now. And I am
Absolutely.
capable. I am, and I am able to do this as well. So of course, UVA, they smoked us and they won, but we got
Yeah.
second. We got second
They probably
place.
set a record
Yeah,
while they were doing it too. That relay
absolutely.
was unbelievable. Kate
Oh,
Douglas,
absolutely.
Alex, Gretchen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's really cool. I've never raced Gretchen, obviously, but I've shared the full deck with her at a few different meets, and oh man, wow, it's just like there's an aura to her, Regan
Oh, yeah.
Smith, all of those world record holders. That just when you see them, you're like, yeah, it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. They're
Makes
beastie. That's
sense.
a different level of commitment and discipline, but I respect it. So,
I do too. I do too. It's always I can find beauty in any sport because I
mhm.
know what it takes to be elite at any sport. So it doesn't matter what sport it is. When I see somebody be elite, I'm like, man, that's pretty legit right there. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So tell me a
So,
little bit about your one-on-one coaching that you have been doing lately. So I see that you're doing some online coaching, which I think that's a little bit more of a bigger thing these days because people used to, they really felt like they had to have that in-person connection with those lessons. But again, you go back to COVID, it's changed a lot of how these things work and how things people approach these different things. So tell me a little bit about what your online coaching's been like. How's that been?
yeah, absolutely. So I offer kind of a plethora of different services. And I actually just recently, this past summer, I was able to finally secure a business title. So I'm a business owner as well. And it's called Fast Track Swim Academy. Still kind of working on the logistics and my website and everything, but it is an LLC. And I offer some online coaching, but mainly in person coaching. And that's just one on one private lessons, group lessons sometimes, working with competitive swimmers really on their technique, their pacing, as well as any potential dry land or mobility or explosive work. So, really thinking about how I can take them from here and elevate them to the next level within the world of competitive swimming and whatever goals they may have.
All right, all right. How long have you been doing that so far?
I started really ramping things up after college. That's when I really had the time to. And I was just feeling an itch and a need to be able to give back. There's a quote that I've heard from somebody, and they said, in order to pay it forward, you must pay it back as well. So that's been something within my heart and within who I am now that I'm, in the big girl world, is to be able to give back and to elevate people to a place that I wish that I maybe had when I was younger. To be that inspiration and to be that push as well. So yeah, that's been a super big piece of why I do what I do, because you have to have a why to your what always. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's one thing that's really awesome about former swimmers and when former athletes of that sport go into that sport, because I feel like there's a connection of I know what I wish I had when I was your age or when I was in college or when I was a 12-year-old on the club team, and I know what I wanted, so I want to be that. I want to provide that for those kids because I know what it used to feel like to be in those shoes. So I think that that is a really cool thing and a beautiful thing that you're able to provide that for those kids.
Yeah, thank you. And it's all the more amazing to hear about their goals and what they want to do, and to get that text from their parents like, hey, they hit their best time, or they
Yeah,
did what they needed to do, they did this technique work. And it's just like, it makes me happy knowing that I'm able to impact children and impact the youth beyond just superficial.
absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about just like your specific day to day right about now, because the whole goal of Ball Talk with Boyd is I really want to highlight all of these different people who are part of the sports communities because everybody's journey looks different. There is somebody who played high school basketball and then they went to college and didn't play in college, but now they're involved with their local baseball team doing ticket sales, but they're able to, still be around sports and have that community. There's a bunch of different ways you could go about it. In my sense, I work for the agency during the day and I do what I can. And then when I am done with that, then I'm coaching in the afternoon or coaching in the morning. And there's technically not a desk in my day to day. So there's all these different ways to go about it. So what does yours look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. I am a person, I pride myself on living between movement and passion and purpose. So I still wake up, not at 5 a.m. anymore, but I still wake up and I love to start my day by working out. So I'm
Yes,
either
ma'am.
lifting, biking, or swimming. So potential maybe Ironman in the future. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So wake up, working out, love to do that. And then usually after that, I'm going to work, typically day to day within my work. It really varies. And I think in this day and age, nobody wants to be stuck behind a desk job where you're doing
No,
the
I
same thing
really don't.
every day. Yeah. People, we don't got that attention span anymore.
No.
So typically it really varies, but for the most part, I do a lot of content creation with marketing and social media, a lot of content planning, collaboration events and or promotionals, and then as well as a little bit of managing around Buckeye Swim School and Swim Club, and some coaching as well. I'm going to be taking over a program this fall for one of the groups within Buckeye Swim Club.
There we go. Congratulations. That'll be really fun. That'll be really fun.
So maybe I'll see you at some meets. I
Yeah,
know
right?
you're high school mainly, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm doing high school. That would be really cool. I have a lot of I coach a summer team, and it's like one of those, 7-week summer league teams. And a bunch of my kids were just at the junior championships at Ohio State. So I'm sure
Okay.
you will be
Yeah.
at
hmm
the sharing the pool deck with a lot of my summer kids. That's awesome.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So Naya, you have done so much in the swimming world and you're not stopping anytime soon. What do you see yourself? I don't know if I like this question because I don't like when people ask me this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where
hmm
do you see yourself in an ideal world over these next 5 years or so?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Something that I've really needed to focus on and been focusing on is asking myself that same question, because it is real and it's like you need to set yourself up for the future just beyond where you're at right now. And I think as of right now, I'm okay and I'm happy with staying here in Ohio. My roots are in Ohio, my family's here. So I'd like to really stay here and continue to build my name and to build my brand in what I do, not only with my business, but also working full time. I love working at Buckeye. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. And I would say one of my goals is to be able to scale my business a little bit more outside of Columbus and outside of Ohio. So whether that be teaching maybe more swim clinics or lessons outside of Columbus, making that curriculum for swimmers outside of the state, or even doing that kind of one-on-one mentorship, as you mentioned, is very important outside of Ohio. I think that's something that I would really like to do, is just to expand my impact beyond Columbus. So yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. So I mean, hey, well, I'm down here in Cincinnati. I got a lot of coaches and stuff. So if you ever want to come down and do a swim camp down here, I'm sure we could work something out. And there's a little bit more of Ohio cover for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Maybe we could do some collab media stuff too. I'm just thinking that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I think that the whole in 2026, especially, like there's no reason not to do. We all do social media every day, in our day-to-day life. We scroll, we post. There's no reason not to make yourself a brand if you're already doing half of the job for yourself by being on the social media. So
Hmm.
that's something that I wanted to do with this, and I'm glad that you were able to join me for this. But to wrap up, let's continue a little bit longer because I still have a few more questions. But I really now I want to focus a little bit more on the message to the next generation and the listeners a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I want to see if there's let's say there's two different people. There's a high schooler listening right now who's maybe a swimmer or just wants to do collegiate athletics and then work in sports. And then let's say there is a current collegiate athlete that wants to work in sports post college. Let's give the advice you would give the high schooler first, and then we'll go into the college.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say for high schooler, it's difficult because high school is a time where you really have to find yourself, and there's a lot of uncertainty that you may be questioning within the next 4 years, the next 2 years of your life. I would say a big thing and a big foundation is to be able to know yourself, know what you love, know what you don't love, know what you like, know what you don't like. If swimming is a part of what something that you love or something that you like that you want to take to the next level, just go for it, because you're going to learn. If anything, whether you succeed or whether you fail, you're going to learn at the end of the day. And that's something and a philosophy that I wish that I knew as a high schooler going into college, but also something that I really took to heart being in my freshman year, right? Having that failure and wanting to quit, but knowing that you're going to learn from yourself and you're going to honestly come out of it better than you started. So definitely that foundation of knowing who you are as a high schooler and just knowing where you would like to elevate your game to the next level, but also taking that risk because you're still so young and you're still so, in a sense, immature, but able to learn a lot more about yourself that adds to your maturity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that that's something that if the earlier you get that figured out, the rewards for figuring out where you want to go as a person and what you want to be, it's so fruitful because you're able to attack things in a way that others can't because they don't have that confidence of knowing that's something that they truly want to go after. So I really like that. So then let's now shift to a college kid. Let's say there's a senior who is swimming and she or she doesn't know what they want to do, if they want to stay in the swim world, if they want to do something else. What would your advice to them be?
Definitely. College is really, it's a big C word. It's all about connections, 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 connections. It's all about who you know. I studied strategic communications, which is essentially marketing at the same time. For me, it was really about who you know, not necessarily what you know. What you know is very important, but who you know can really help you get into opportunities and experiences that you never really saw yourself being in. And honestly, that's how I landed my job. Is I knew the owner of Buckeye Swim School, Lori Carr. We had a great relationship prior to our employment relationship, and she offered me that position. And here I am now, just doing exactly what I want to do. And I hadn't known that that's really what I wanted to do. Again, like I
Yeah,
said, last August. So
yeah,
connections, super important, relationships, and hopefully you have had that foundation within college to be able to build those relationships with professors, with your teammates, with other students, with coaches, because people will look out for you at the end of the day. It's really all about you putting the word in and having those connections.
yeah. Putting yourself out there. I'd say that I don't think that, all the internships I've had in New York with the Jets and Chicago with the Bears and then back in New York with the Giants, not a single one of those came from, oh, I applied online. It's like, oh,
Right.
no, I had to network, I had to meet people, and I had to make a phone call and put myself on the table for them. And then
Absolutely.
same thing with the swim coaching now. I told myself when I finished swimming in 2024, when I graduated college, that there was no chance I was getting back into the swimming world. I was
Right.
so done. I was so frustrated with how, so I had a knee issue with my knee in college and swimming. And my original college coach that I went there for, he ended up having some health issues and he had to retire before my senior year. And there was just so many things that I was like, you know what, I am so done with swimming. And then I finished and I spent a year removed from it. And then last summer, I get a call from my old high school coach, who's now the athletic director at my high school. And he's like, hey, need somebody to take over the swim team. And I'm like, maybe, right? Maybe. And then I called him back a week later. I said yes. And a week into the season, maybe not even, probably 10 minutes into the first practice, I'm like, this feels right at home. This is right where I belong.
Yeah.
And now it's like the idea of not being there for this team is, I can't even think about it.
And that's the thing. I feel like taking the time away from a sport collegiately, but then eventually coming back into it, that makes you just refall in love with that sport again, because you're not necessarily in it in the sense that you were in the note that you may have finished on, but now you're able to be in it again for that next generation. So that's a beautiful story as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you so much again for joining us, for joining me and everyone that's listening today. Do you have any final parting words you'd like to leave the audience with before you head out?
Oh gosh. I will say one of my other favorite quotes. I'm a big quote person. I got a quote book. I'll leave you with this, okay? The cold water doesn't get warmer if you jump late. I'm gonna end it there.
All right. That's a good way to head out. Well, again, seriously, thank you so much, Nyah, for joining me today. Congratulations on everything that you have done and that you are to do, because I know you are going to do amazing things as you move forward. So, again, thank you so much. Ball Talk with Boyd listeners, my family, my friends, thank you so much for listening and supporting me as I continue this journey. And hopefully, we won't have as long of a break in between episodes next time. So, new episode coming out soon. Be back soon. Thank you so much. Ball Talk with Boyd out.